30 Rock was definitely a high point. It was a big network show, ridiculous talent, amazing guest stars. And I did work on the pilot, so I got to help be part of that team that set it in motion. And, you know, I had a really important job and was able to work with Robert Carlock, the producer, and Tina was pretty well involved. I mean, she was quite busy also, but she would definitely come in, you know, at least once a week or whatever to look at cuts.
So would you interact with Tina? Like,
yeah, I mean, typically we'd have a little screening with just a few people in the room, 3 or 4 people in the room. And ideally she was there if she could, because she was one of the producers. And it sort of depended.
Are you pretty much just editing from a script? Or are you able to kind of put in your input in the edit as well?
Yeah, I mean, your job as the editor, unless you get a note from set like, oh, this thing bombed or this actor couldn't get this line, you pretty much go by the script. Of course, on a comedy show like 30 Rock, they're improvising, especially at the end of the scene. They almost always will just like keep going. You certainly have leeway to add more than is in the script, but the writer's kind of king, and they do want to see their words out there. They were ruthless in terms of just keep it moving. And
such a fast show.
It is really fast. Alec Baldwin is a guy who does these sort of methodical readings and very slow, and he would like whisper them a bit. So I remember having to like work with that quite a bit to try to like sometimes pace him up a little bit. It was a very clever dynamic. You know, just Tina Fey's character being kind of one of the boys and, you know, being a slob and into, you know, junky food and just, I don't know, there was just something very endearing about that character.
I thought you said we were friends.
I said we were friendly.
Well, I don't like you anymore.
But it was unusual in that there was very different kinds of comedy. You know, you'd have Alec Baldwin doing this very sort of erudite, sophisticated kind of stuff.
It's after 6. What am I, a farmer?
But you have Tracy Morgan doing like goofy stuff. They would write the lines knowing they would sound ridiculous coming out of his mouth.
Finally! Over the break, I forgot what floor I worked on.
6, Tracy.
6! I knew it was a character from Blossom, but I couldn't find the Joey Russo button.
And then you have the character of Kenneth the Page, who is always he's sort of the Milhouse of the cast. He's always like bad things are always kind of happening to him.
On his way to work, he found some magic beans, and because he believed in them,
Ship up.
It's a really fun show. I was a big fan of SCTV and SNL growing up, and I think I'm kind of a funny guy, and that's your job as an editor, is to find the funniest take, and if there isn't one, figure out a way in the editing that maybe it could be funny. Ask the director or the producers if you have a brilliant idea for something, and they might say go for it, or you have an alternate version. I do that a lot. I'll say, like the slate at the beginning will say, you know, here's this director's cut, extra scenes at end, you know, and I'll put up a little slate, like alternate version of this scene where the guy doesn't get a pie in his face or whatever.
Just don't take this out on Tracy.
It sucks.
All right, are we gonna talk about this?